Okay. At least I have some time to change the background.
Turn on the lights real quick.
Hello. What is it? Yes, this is Papa. And this is Papa too. And this is Papa too.
All right. Todd's booting up his computer so we can take some notes. We'll see what the turnout looks like today.
And my son brought me some photos of me. I was sorting the documents in another room, so I'm a bit afraid what's going on there at the moment. But yeah, otherwise it should be fine.
Yeah, sounds good. You had mentioned that I need to reach out to the CNCF to get the ball rolling on some kind of sandbox pieces.
Yeah. So we depends on the scale of announcements. If you just want, let's say, social media, then we can post it, and the CNCF will repost it. I can organize it. But let's say if you want official press releases through PR agencies, etc., then we need a CNCF marketing machine, and then we need to work with them. And it's
Okay,
not...
but I mean, like I would assume that they would email us some kind of confirmation that we at least we're accepted, right? Or is that because I haven't seen anything yet? I was kind of waiting on that to do too much.
No, for sandbox projects. So the sandbox projects are not officially considered to be a part of the CNCF. This is what we need to be careful of. So CNCF sandbox project, well, basically there is some best effort thing, but that's it. So unless you ask for something, they are not going to provide or prioritize help. But if you ask, sure, it may happen. So that's the plan.
But even the official status is a sandbox project. There's no official, even saying you're sandbox now or anything like that.
So we can officially say that we are a CNCF sandbox project, but we cannot say we are a CNCF project. So this is something you be super careful of, because the CNCF is careful about it. But yeah, otherwise, so doing announcements on our own, asking the CNCF to repost it in their social media, it's totally possible.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
I just have to figure out what the next steps are, because it's a little unclear, because I never got any official communication from them, which is kind of weird and slightly disappointing, honestly.
So for me, the question is, what scale of announcements you want?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it would just be nice to have more confirmation than meeting notes type of deal. But yeah, at any rate, we'll deal with it.
No, so OpenFeature is accepted. They will graduate it to services like DevStats, to listing of member projects, but basically that's it. So they won't be doing any massive PR around that. But at the same time, the CNCF will gladly repost everything we create.
Sure.
So,
yeah, I'm just wondering about even logos and all that kind of stuff, because they have the landscape piece with the sandbox section in there. So getting all that stuff to them.
Yeah, it should happen, and also we need to have open feature somewhere on this landscape in general, either a standard or feature flag management. So this can be achieved via pull request. So there is, I'm not sure, maybe they will do that on their own, but you can submit a pull request as well.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, and I'm not sure what the turnout's gonna be, so we may not, like for this particular meeting, we can chat about a few things. But if it's a low turnout, we can kind of pivot or wrap up early, I suppose, so.
Mhm. So I'll send the link to the CNCF landscape to the chat.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worth mentioning, probably not worth mentioning anything with the GoFeatureFlag.
I mean, we can mention it real quick, yeah. So yeah, based on that tweet from a couple days ago, that GoFeatureFlag project, I think you had actually linked it, Oleg. Todd had reached out to them, and we're going to talk to them later today, actually, just to see which portions we could potentially leverage and how we can maybe work together on that. It seems like a pretty interesting opportunity. Even looking at it, it's very similar to where we see that Flag D service being potentially in a few months. They're just a little further along. They have a few things that we may want to kind of omit if we port pieces over, like the AWS SDK, for example. But like fundamentally, like it works pretty similar to where we see Flag D potentially being. So yeah, we'll see how the meeting goes. That's actually right after this one, so we'll try to post some kind of update once we have information on that. But that's kind of cool. That was a nice kind of like organic interaction, I suppose, and we found out about them, and yeah, it looks like a cool tool. We'll see. I suppose we can just provide a quick update on the Kubernetes and the Flag D piece so far. And then I don't think anything really on the agenda. So if there's any other topics, we can chat about that quickly. And if not, we can go ahead and wrap it up. From a status standpoint, we have the basics, kind of working end to end just to prove out the concept. So you can actually use the Kubernetes operator. You can push basically flag configurations. It will attach the sidecars. We are running like that simple Flag D service behind the scenes. So that's attached to the same pod. We have a very, very simple HTTP based Flag D provider that communicates to the sidecar process and does extremely basic flag evaluation. So basically the end-to-end flow works. There's just a lot of pieces we need to continue to figure out in order to make it ready for prime time. But in terms of like proving out that it actually works conceptually, I think we're at that stage now.
Right now we have like a dirt road from end to end, so everything works, but it's very basic, and we need to make that a highway. Basically all the concepts have been proven out. So we're just going to be adding different transport protocols, adding an evaluation engine, refining the flag definition or the flag schema. It's not exactly where we want it to be right now, but basically, all of the big questions I think have been answered, and we understand from an architectural perspective how we're going to build things out. So it's just a matter of doing that, which is good because that's also where we're going to get help from some consultants too.
Right. Yeah, I suppose we do have the liquid reply team starting July 1st. So that will be a pretty big boost in engineering power starting at the beginning of next month. So that should help out quite a bit. They'll be working on this portion, and I'm sure we'll leverage them for some of the SDKs as well. So we can really start accelerating R&D effort there.
I feel like
So one question, do we want to discuss the Posthoc today, or should we schedule it for the next meeting where we will have much more people attending?
Yeah, I would recommend if so this meeting is really specifically oriented around Flag D and the Kubernetes components. I think the Posthoc provider and that recent work is really interesting, and I think it deserves a bigger audience, and it's probably more general. It's less about the cloud native components and more about just general SDK. So next week is probably the best venue for it, and there'll be a lot more people as well. Generally there is. I mean, I can't guarantee that, but we've been having attendance around like the 12 to 15 people, right?
Yeah, pretty good turnout. And so, yeah, I think that, we certainly talk about it. I mean, I think we'll wrap this meeting up relatively soon, actually, likely, because of just, we're missing some of the people in the audience that we probably really need to chat to about architecture decisions and things. But so we may have a few minutes to talk about that. I have been working on the contribs repo for the Node.js SDKs right now, and so we can start moving portions to there. That makes sense. I have an incredibly basic hotel created so far, although the one
I think is your name Wired? Is that how I pronounce your name? Or can you help us pronounce your name there?
My name is Bayard.
Wired?
Yeah.
perfect.
It's similar like to the. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I looked at your OTel hook, and especially with the metrics and stuff, I like that approach pretty well. So if you don't mind, I may start leveraging part of that in like the more like I guess the official OTel hook in the contribs repo. Or yeah,
Yeah, it's
or
fine.
I'm sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no worries. No worries. I copied from your code also, so I just enhanced it. So
Cool. So I'll have you as a co-editor or something once I do that. But I like the metric portion of it. I'll have to test it out. Maybe that will be well. They're all marked right now as peer dependencies. So like perhaps like they could be optional. So you could either do metrics, traces, or both. So I'll have to kind of figure out how that could work from like a kind of a design perspective. But I do think that's a pretty nice touch. I don't have a ton of experience with the OTel metrics, but you know, the ones that you were collecting made a ton of sense to me. So I think that'd be kind of a nice enhancement to that hook as well.
Yeah.
yeah, cool. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go first. No worries.
Well, I was just going to change the subject. So, if you wanted to respond to that, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I wanted to change subject too. I had a question about something, but you go first.
Okay, yeah. Well, I was going to say, we really appreciate the work you've been doing, especially with the Posthoc provider and just in general using the Node SDK. Like we were saying earlier, this meeting is really specifically about the cloud native components. I would, if you want to specifically talk about Posthoc at all, I would recommend you do it next week because that's our general meeting, and we have, like I said, a lot more attendance because it's about the project at a wider level and more about the SDK. So if you are interested in talking about it next week,
Yeah.
yes, please.
Yeah. Next, I had a question about the cloud native stuff. So I think I had asked this question before, but I think it would also be nice if there would be like a daemon or like something where it allows you to manage the feature flags. So you define them in a format, and then this daemon like in a Kubernetes config map or something, and then it will like sync them with the feature flag vendor. So it will either add the feature flag or remove it or change the default values. I think that would be quite cool if that somehow would be possible.
Yeah, that's something we've talked about. Yeah, that's something we've talked about, and I think it would be nice if we could even use the same CRD or maybe different CRDs, but we could probably use the same operator. I think it makes sense to use the same operator, maybe different CRDs for defining them, not sure, but that's totally possible. Like most others have APIs to create this stuff. I mean, right now we're just focused on evaluation out of process, but I totally agree. Like we've talked with vendors and they're interested in what you're describing too. So it's definitely something we want. If you want to like describe some of this in an issue, I'm sure it will generate interesting discussion. It's been talked about. It was talked it was talked about at KubeCon, but it wasn't really recorded in any sense. But if you feel like opening an issue in, I think probably flag D, either flag D or the operator. No, you know what? If you want to discuss it, well, if you want to discuss it, I would actually open an issue in research because research is a good place to talk about issues that could affect multiple repos. And then if we create specific issues and to-dos, we can do that in repos where they belong. There's a research.
Okay. Yeah. I will do that.
Perfect. Yep. I guess this is slightly change of topic too, but I was using the latest version of the Node SDK, and if I use the errors in ESM, it actually was throwing an exception. So I created an issue for that last night. I was just talking to Todd. We may have to use like rollup or something similar to just bundle it. It's just a quick aside, just to let you know that it's not totally working properly, at least for ESM modules. So
It's probably just a packaging issue, I'm sure.
I'm sure it is too, but it's just yeah, just an FYI that change may come out relatively soon because it's not quite working.
Oh, okay.
I'll
Okay.
take a
Yeah,
look.
that's fine. I don't use ESM yet, so
Yeah, it's kind of it's such a weird time in the ecosystem right now. At any rate,
I first need to get over that everything needs to now have the .js in all your files and in TypeScript. So once I'm over that hurdle, I probably will switch, but it takes a time.
Yeah, well, if we bundle everything into a single JS file, then we avoid that problem too, because everything just gets packaged into one single, like, transformed JavaScript string, and we can keep the typing. So that might be one way to do it. I mean, there's disadvantages to that too, because the files become a little bit harder to edit if you want to monkey patch something, and in your local environment. So I don't know, but we could consider doing that, and then we wouldn't have to include the JS extensions everywhere to solve that import problem. I'll look into it, and I'll probably.
It's not a big deal. I mean, if that's how it's supposed to be now, but it's just personally, I need to get ready for it. But yeah, I mean, if that's the way Microsoft wants to do it, then it's fine. You don't need to change. You don't need to change the whole coding style of the project because of me.
It seems to be a disagreement between TypeScript and Node. That's the problem.
Yeah, and so the other couple of pieces, just to kind of shift topic kind of away from the Kubernetes side for now. You had mentioned a couple pieces like accessing the provider itself. So I would definitely recommend opening a proposal on that. Conceptually, it makes sense. The question came around like it's confusing to export that from a client. So like I probably would recommend not putting that in the proposal to pull it from the client again, because then it brings up the question like, are you supposed to use like underlying provider or use the abstractions, and it's intended to use the abstractions. You could potentially pull it from like the global OpenFeature object though, since we're doing we're setting the provider there, we could certainly probably expose a getter as well.
Yeah.
So that might be the appropriate for the proposal.
I was thinking to just make a proposal for the event tracking and identifying users.
So okay, so would that be like basically like a general like emit or event emitter effectively, or an event like what exactly are you trying to do? For like user events, or would this be for like SDK events like startup and shutdown?
Like user events, like some vendors like Posthoc in Launch Dark and Split, they support sending custom events. So
yeah, exactly. So the one thing to keep in mind for that, I think that's awesome. If you want to work on that proposal, that'd be amazing. The one thing that we had thought about, which I think would be pretty cool too, is for the vendors that do not support it, or maybe even the ones that do support it, maybe you could register multiple, like, I don't know, we'd have to come up with terms for it, but basically like event providers or something, which could actually end up being like Segment and some of these other, event systems.
Yeah, like for example, to be more concrete, like I think Launch Darkly, maybe it's Launch Darkly, maybe it's somebody else, maybe it's Split. There's a track method which just sends arbitrary user data. But for example, CloudBees doesn't have that. It's all feature flagging and no user tracking. So if you're using CloudBees, you would register the CloudBees provider, but then also register some separate tracking provider that would just handle the tracking, maybe Segment or whatever, and then it would be optional. So I think that's the kind of edge case we have to probably.
Yeah, it basically no up if nothing's registered, and then the other idea is like potentially register multiple event systems theoretically. So just things to maybe consider if you're going to work on a proposal. That would be greatly appreciated though, if you want to throw something together.
Yeah, I will. I will.
Another thing that would be super, super interesting, and it sounds like you have some experience from the Posthoc world on this, but I would love for those events to correlate to the appropriate like feature flag where possible. Right. So like I'm not exactly sure how that would work conceptually, but perhaps theoretically, if you were to do like a feature flag details, like in that response, there could be like, you know, an event tracker in there that has like the context kind of captured, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you?
I think so. I think I understand what you mean. I just don't know how to.
Yeah, so like it could have like basically an object in there that has the event tracking method on there, and that would have like the feature flag, you know, flag key predefined and stuff like that. So you wouldn't have to keep passing that in the track event. Just something to think about as well. It's not that part's not mission critical. We can kind of layer those parts on later. But I think, you know,
Yeah,
I think we want to be segment or something, you know what I mean? Like this needs to be like a tracking in the context of feature flagging. So yeah.
I think I will start with the most easiest or simplest proposal first, and then we can iterate on it, I guess.
Yep, that sounds great. Cool. What else do we have?
I don't think. I mean, I think we should try our best to keep this specifically about cloud native stuff if we can, just for people who happen to watch it later. So I don't think I.
Yeah. I didn't mean to let you switch topics. It's but yeah. So
Yeah, I
this
think
question.
agenda-wise, there's nothing officially on the agenda, and we're just kind of making, you know, progress on the stuff that we talked about at the last meeting. So I don't know if there's really much more of an update. I suppose we can probably just go ahead and wrap it up then.
Yeah, I think so.
If there's nothing else. So
Okay,
great.
cool.
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for attending, and yeah, we'll talk to you over Slack and probably at the next meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Same. And have a nice day.
All right, you too. Talk to you later. Bye, everyone.
See you. Bye.
Bye.